I want to alter this vest. It has a huge flowing neck, and I don't love it because it kind of makes me look bigger than I am up top. And I'm thinking I'll take a half of it off, so just that. So this is my plan of the bit I intend to take off. Sometimes it does take a couple of times to get your get the shape right, so you can see that I'm doing it with the ruler, but the first time I'm kind of not completely happy with it, so I've done it a second time, and I've made a right angle at the front collar. Now that I've made my plan, I'm putting both sides together and I'm matching all the seams to make it accurate. I want both sides to be the same, so I'm matching all the seams and the edges so that when I cut it off, it'll all be very uniform. Once I've got it right, I'm going to pin it around about where I'm going to cut it, and then I'm just going to cut it off. I'm not going to cut through the binding because I need to unpick that. I want to keep this binding intact so I can use it again. So there we go, chop chop, just to the binding. Now I'm just unpicking the binding edge. So there's a few layers of stitching, the binding stitching, the joining of the binding to the garment, and the understitch. Once I've got that all off, I'll have to go over to the machine, and yes, I've cut it, but I'm taking it over to the machine to take the rest of the binding off. And yeah, just a bit of unpicking there. Get comfortable with unpicking. If you want to do alterations to your clothes, there's a lot of unpicking involved, and it's not so bad. There's a few methods. I should maybe do a technique of unpicking video, all the fast ways you can do it. So I decided to change this because it was far too big, and I thought I could just maybe make it half, but still I feel like there's too much fabric in this. So what I'm going to do is take it right back to being about 3 centimeters, 4 centimeters, and just have it like a band down the middle. I think this bring it like a little bit more contemporary, and I can still use it, and it's more me. I'm just measuring here, 3 to 4 centimeters. I can't remember exactly how far it is, for the collar to be away from the seam, and then I'm pinning it in place so that it can be nice and uniform and look super professional. And then we're going to pop that binding over the seam. Okay, so I have pinned it all on, and I've put the stripe here instead of on the edge, which I think I prefer better. This is kind of more like a collar now, and of course this can be a collar because it's cut on a cross. If this was a straight piece of fabric, it would never work. So inside here, don't know if you can see, but it's actually bound, the seam is bound. And instead of undoing all that binding, what I'm going to do is overlock the edge and just wrap it around the binding and top stitch it underneath, so you won't see it at all. Hopefully that will work beautifully. And then I'm going to stitch this on top, and it'll be one completely new vest with less bulk here, which doesn't suit me at all. Still going to keep my neck warm. I'm just cutting this off a centimetre past the binding, so I can wrap it around after I've overlocked it. I'm just feeling where the binding is and letting that be my guide, using my ruler to make a mark, and then I will cut on my mark. There we go, just cutting it off now, and I'm just being careful not to cut any of the underneath. I think it's still pinned in this spot, yeah, just taking all the pins out. Okay, so I just did a bit of prep work. I'm just reattaching the binding to here so that when I turn it over, it'll be all finished off. I hope you can see that. And then I'm going to overlock this edge. So just reattaching the binding now. So I've overlocked that edge, and now I am just wrapping that overlocking around the seam over the binding and stitching that in place. Last thing to do, I'm just attaching that trim to the edge, and then we'll be able to see the finished vest. Amazing. So I finished my alteration. What used to come up here like this and go back to my neck, come up like about 25 centimeters up here, all scrunched up behind my neck, is now taken off. I left about 8 to 10 centimeters of it, wrapped it around the binding on this side, and then I have just measured this and put the binding, I've put this trim on the seam. So you can't see the seam, but it's a bit of detail, matches all the rest of the detail on it, and I think I'll actually wear it like this.